Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Calling, back with another episode. This time I'm laughing. Episode 276, which I said last week, but then I realized I am one behind. So we are on 276. This week, today, we are waking up with a grand water trine. Some of you guys have already been researching this or maybe experiencing this or listening to it from other astrologers. But today, Tuesday the 28th, at 2:19 a.m., so we woke up with this. Mars is trine Jupiter, Mars in Scorpio, trine Jupiter in Cancer. Then tomorrow, Wednesday 29th, Mercury trines Neptune retrograde, which is now retrograded back into Pisces at 3:26 a.m. Then Mercury enters Sagittarius at 7:02 a.m. in the morning, and Mercury later that day opposed Uranus retrograde in Gemini at 3:05 p.m. Mars in Scorpio will trine Saturn retrograde in Pisces at 3:35 p.m. That is Wednesday. That is going to be part of this grand water trine. Now, on Monday, the 3rd, Mars in Scorpio will trine Neptune in Pisces. And then on Tuesday, the 4th, 8:01 a.m., Mars ingresses into Sagittarius and will oppose Uranus in Gemini. Wednesday, the 5th, we have the full moon in Taurus. So first, let's talk about this grand water trine. Now, this isn't a grand air trine where everything feels light, fluffy, and easy. It's a water trine, which still may feel heavy and watered down a little bit. And this morning we may wake up and feel kind of tired, but not in a bad way. You got good sleep. You do have some energy, but it almost is like, I just want to lay here and be cozy. It's cold outside. I know it is here in Pennsylvania. Woke up, I think it was 35 degrees. So again, there is some differences, right? When we're in that water energy, it still can be, we're in the emotional water energy. So it doesn't, like I said, feel as light and fluffy, but there's still a lot of magic and good energy that happens with the water. But I just want you guys to recognize the element. The difference between a grand fire trine, which would get you go, 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 do, action. A grand air trine, which would be let go, have fun, move around, bring lightness. A grand earth trine, which would be like getting your surroundings grounded, solid. And then we have the grand water trine, which is really understanding our emotions a little bit deeper. So, like I said, my water placements, y'all are receiving this energy in the best way possible, and you will feel it the most. So that is my Pisces, Cancer, Scorpios. I got some horoscopes for you guys, your placements, so just hang tight. But for the general, for all of us, we have the malefics, Mars and Saturn, and a nice harmonious trine with Jupiter in Cancer. So we have the two malefics, the two hard planets, the bringer of hard stuff, and a nice trine, which is beneficial, bringing the benefits, positivity, with Jupiter, our happiest planet, where Jupiter works at its best in the sign of Cancer. So this is the energy we want for the week when it comes to any conflict, healing, or uncomfortable emotional energy. This will be a time where relationships of all kinds will be able to be vulnerable and be intimate. And I don't just mean like sexually or physically, mostly mentally and emotionally being intimate, especially that emotional part, and being vulnerable and allow feelings to be shared in an honest truth. Strong bonds will be built on emotions, especially those built on raw honesty and truth. Strong bonds will be repaired, or this is a powerful time to take action around repairing a bond. You may be naturally feeling more forgiving, especially when it comes to family, or maybe just previous resentments. If you're feeling more emotional than normal, remember that it's coming up, so feelings can be freed from you. That stuck emotion that needs to move out of you, or it will make you sick or affect you in some sort of way that maybe you can't even predict. But just allow the tears to flow if they flow. This is a time that will bring strong emotional faith if you need it and when you need it. One of the things is I want to jump back to forgiveness. And I say this all the time on my podcast. Remember, resentment hurts you more than it hurts the other person. The other person is not feeling that resentment. You are. And it is only affecting you. And if something is bothering you, something that someone said, something that someone did, and this is a relationship that you value or you have valued, this is a time to share what you mean. So many misunderstandings happen because you just can't say to someone, hey, it pissed me off that you said that the other day. And then you just let it build, and then you let it build, and then you end up starting to see all the reasons why you don't like the person, because that's what happens to resentment. So allow this energy, this beautiful, forgiving, vulnerable, coming back together energy, to allow yourself to forgive, to open up your heart, to try to understand what someone else is going through, maybe try to understand why they pissed you off. And again, just lean into forgiveness in this craziness of this world where we're having egos and everything flying and going after each other. The best thing we can do is bring love and forgiveness into our daily moments. I know it is hard, but like I said, the astrology, the planets are on your side for this. And this is a time that if you build these new structures when it comes around forgiveness, honesty, vulnerability, they are here to last. They're here to last through a new cycle. And for some of you who end up turning it into a practice, maybe forever. So let's jump into the horoscopes I have for my water signs. So my Cancer placements this year, with having Jupiter in Cancer, has been a lot around renewing your sense of faith when it comes to your home life, your family dynamics, learning what drives your emotional well-being or your emotional detriment, and learning how to allow the positivity to take over. This water trine will allow you to finally feel that things are actually shifting for you because your attitude has shifted. This week you are finally, like I said, shifting past some deep and emotional barriers that is going to continue as we shift through Scorpio season. So again, especially this time last year, remember, Mars in Cancer, then Mars in Cancer retrograde, and so all these things got disrupted for my Cancer placements, and mostly your emotional well-being. And I think for Cancers, you guys see how your emotions can sometimes make you the worst or the best. However, now you did the work on being positive. You did the work what you needed to do to heal and understand your emotions a little better. And like I said, this week you're finally pushing past some deep and emotional barriers. My Scorpio placements. Hopefully, happy Scorpio season. Hopefully, if you are cranky this week will bring you a little more hope than humbug. This is a week where you're finally removing stubborn emotional energy, finally getting sick of your own bullshit that you've been making yourself suffer with. I'm sorry, you guys do make yourself suffer a lot with negative emotions. A lot of my Scorpio placements, you guys will stay in suffering and the martyr complex. And now this trine to Jupiter, you're finally feeling the hope again this week. It's bringing you a glimmer of hope. So ride that, trust in that, give faith into that glimmer of hope. Now, next week, the full moon in Taurus will be in opposition to my Scorpio placements. You will be pushed through your comfort zone when it comes to getting out of your own way. So you're going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be because someone's going to probably call you on your bullshit that says, hey, stop being a martyr, stop being miserable. Your life is your choice and your misery is your choice. And that's the message you guys need to hear, my Scorpio placements. Pisces placements. Ooh, this year you had to find your own faith in the darkness. Really, for the last few years, as Saturn has been in Pisces and it's ingressed back into Pisces one last time for 30-some years, for about 30 years. You had to find your own faith in the darkness this year. You had to face a lot of life issues with only you to understand or share in that pain with. Maybe you did have some support around you, but there was something where it was really like you were in solitude. And again, it was just you, only you, who had to break you out of this. You got yourself a little out of control and a little bit destructive throughout your own denial. And now you've been getting yourself back on track with structure and the plan, the structure you've been craving, wanting to do, but kept putting off and procrastinating about. So now that structure is present. Your structure is going to be coming out this week. You're going to be feeling, like I said, the benefits and the rewards, and it's only going to grow from here. The benefits and the rewards of showing up every day, doing the routine, doing the structure, which again isn't natural energy for Pisces placements. This week, again, like I said earlier, be vulnerable, be open. So much energy can move and your whole life can move and shift when you remove those resentments. So right before the full moon in Taurus. So that's move away from this grand water trine. Enjoy the watery emotions flowing through you and to you guys, my water placements. Now, right before the full moon in Taurus, Mars ingresses into Sagittarius. So Mars ingressing into Sagittarius right after he trine Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius. I feel like I like this, especially for my Sagittarius placements. I like it in general for Mars. It's getting a little positive extra boost before moving into the fire sign of Sagittarius. So I'm loving that Mars is starting this transit, coming right off the heels of that. But also right before he opposes Uranus and Gemini as soon as he enters Sagittarius. So my mutable signs, this is going to play out the most with y'all. So Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, y'all are going to be feeling this the most, as well as just Mars being in Sagittarius. So here is like what we can expect to play out. Rebellion with a cause or a purpose greater than yourself, something you believe in strongly, something that you represent, something that you stand for. You're going to like rebel, like, hey, how dare they say this to my friends? I'm going after them. Now, don't physically touch anyone, but, go after them in an open-hearted way, you could say. That's what I like to encourage you. Shoot them in the head with a rainbow of love. So rebelling with a cause or a purpose, maybe you're going to stand up to a friend and say, hey, I actually don't believe in that. Can you please stop sharing that with me? Or go into an argument about that. You're making a statement of some kind that's very big and full of faith. Even if it feels like fake faith at the time, you might not even realize it until you look back, but it's like the statement. You're like, yeah, and I'm going against what everyone else says, and I'm making a statement. Attitude, for sure, is something that's going to come up. Attitude that is surprising, whether you were on the giving or receiving end of things. My mutable signs will feel squirrely, high energy, maybe even moodier than usual, but it's going to go back and forth, right? It's going to shift in the day to day, even the moments throughout the day. If there is more Mars-like vibes, don't worry. Like I said, it will switch over and be a little bit easier. That's one of the great things when things happen in the mutable signs. However, sometimes that means that whatever happens, whatever new journeys, new attributes, new things you begin, maybe don't always stick. That is the one thing. When we begin something new in a mutable energy, it doesn't mean that it always sticks the way it will in a fixed sign. So you'll have now, let's talk about one more thing here. I lost my place of what I was talking about with that. So switching back and forth. Now, this is a great time for physical activities for my Sagittariuses. You will have the strength, the drive to keep pushing through and to just bring in the power through physical work. Some, especially this is going to be the same, especially for my two fire signs, Leo and Aries. This is going to have a trine. A Mars will be in a fire sign trining you guys. So this is going to be really, when it comes to physical activity, getting fit, strength, action, perseverance, Mars and Sag is going to be very great for you with taking that decisive action. And again, having that drive, that perseverance. So my fire signs, you're getting that boost that you need. Maybe you didn't have as much boost, but you're definitely getting that boost. My other mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, though, this at first maybe isn't the best thing for physical activity the way it is for Sagittarius or the other fire signs. Be careful not to exercise or over push yourself. So fire signs, yes, push yourself. But Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, I do not recommend you pushing yourself too hard. If you feel like you need a break or to stop doing something physically, take that break, okay? Definitely take that break. Because Mars in an opposition, all right, which it will be to Gemini, or a square, which it will be to which it will be to Pisces and Virgo, can show you where your limits actually are, can push you that, and wishing that you didn't even get to that point. Like, what the fuck did I get here for? Mars will be in Sagittarius until the middle of December. It's in each sign for 2 months, except when retrograding. And I'm happy we won't have to deal with another retrograde until 2027. But this can definitely make my mutable energy have more of an arguing tone to things, or want to fight randomly about things. My Geminis, myself included, I'm a Gemini Mercury. I gotta watch that mouth. Again, the argument happen. I feel like Sagittarius is going to benefit the best from this in the fire signs, and my other mutable signs will benefit from this, but you're going to have to take a little more caution when it comes to dealing with Mars-like things than my Sagittarius will. Last but not least, then the next day when this begins, we have the full moon in Taurus, and that will be next Wednesday, but we'll begin to feel that energy on Monday. Next week will definitely be a little bit more, I want to say rough, activated, gritty, movement, fast pace, a little bit chaotic. I could keep going, but things that feel very Mars-like, especially in a fire sign that is mutable, going back and forth, maybe making one really big action and then retracting that action really quick and saying, actually, never mind, that's not what I'm going to do. A lot of that back and forth between action and reaction will definitely be happening. So now, with this full moon in Taurus next Wednesday, I feel like other than the beginning with the opposition of Mars to Uranus, overall, this is going to be a relatively calm full moon in the grand scheme of things. There will be a square to Pluto when the moon enters in Taurus on its way into total fullness. So there can be some power dynamics at play at first. And we want to look to where Venus is, the ruler of Taurus, at the time of the full moon. And so Venus, she's still in one of her home signs of Libra, the air sign. So that's nice to have that dynamic there. I feel like it gives a little flexibility and a little more movement to the more normal, permanent, or fixed energy that a full moon in a fixed sign, especially Taurus, ends up coming. I suggest next Wednesday, you will want to naturally ground yourself. So it's a time to find some grounding, healing energy as much as we can before we enter winter and before we enter into Sagittarius season. We got all the Scorpio, we got the water trine. So I feel like in this week and next week, the emotions are going to be all over the place that you are going to want to need to ground yourself. That full moon maybe will bring this like, oh my God, I can't take this energy anymore. I am going to escape to the mountains. Even if it's for 3 hours, I need to go out, get into the woods, and ground myself. Now, it's a little chilly. However, what is nice, I know here in Pennsylvania, you don't have to worry about the ticks. Where I'm in, and Chester County, actually, believe it or not, is like the highest level of ticks in the United States. Somehow, I knock on wood, I never see them on my kids and I when we venture out there, but they are definitely some of the highest levels of that. So that's a good thing. If you're scared of ticks, you can get out into that energy, or maybe just making your home environment more grounded. Bring in some plants if you don't already have some. Make your house cozy, make your house fine, because you will want to basically very much relax on Wednesday. I think most people are going to feel, like I said, a high energy well into the week, in the beginning of the week. And then when the full moon hits, it's going to be a little bit like, oh my God, I need my rest. I need my rest. I need my rest. And that will continue into that first weekend of November. And this all coincides with the time change, which I know we all need our rest a little bit more whenever that happens. So find a way to ground your emotions. Again, we're getting with this grand water trine, we're getting our emotions activated in a large way. And then, like I said, by next week, we're going to have to find how to ground them. And when we ground them, we will be able to find the truth in our emotions. This is a time to really focus on meditations. And again, when I say meditations, it doesn't have to be this grandiose on the top of the mountain silence. You can just put on a nice frequency, and if you do a frequency, do a grounding frequency. Any of the lower numbered frequencies would be good. Basically anything from like 300 down, 300 hertz, maybe 400 hertz down would be good. And just sit and bring in the peace, bring in the calm. Write down afterwards. If you let everything escape, let it escape. But then when you're done with meditating, write down what came to you. Even if you're not sure and you want to meditate, just not just, emptying your mind, you want to meditate on something, you can meditate and say to yourself, how can I bring a more grounded practice into my life? What do I need to do now to bring grounded energy into my life? How do I need to ground my emotions best? Those are going to be the questions that are going to come up. Those are going to be the questions that you have to seek out into your heart. All right, ground yourself. Ground your emotions. What does that look like for you? And what will that look like once you do? I love you all. I hope everyone has a fantastic Grand Trine week. I hope you process those emotions. I hope you're vulnerable with someone. I hope you say the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. And next week, I hope you find out how you need to ground yourself to better show up every day with love. And most importantly, this week, forgive. Forgive. Next week, the full moon in Taurus will also be around forgiving because y'all don't like to forgive. Y'all like to hold on to resentments. Forgive. Show up in an open-hearted place. And the most important thing, remember, we're just on a fucking stupid little rock in space, spinning around with thousands of light years of planets and galaxies and universes all around us. So whatever you're stressing about right now is not worth the cortisol in your face getting puffy, all right? It's not worth all the bullshit and all the stress because in the grand scheme of things, none of this shit matters. None of it matters. So when the emotions come up this week, tell yourself as well, does this shit really matter? Again, unbothered. For 2 years in a row, that was my year for the word unbothered. And my wish is that half of you decide to become unbothered because the shit you're worried about right now does not matter. What's the old saying? My mother used to always say it. I know I'm not alone in that. Probably everyone's mother said it. But if it's not going to matter 5 weeks from now, 5 months from now, or 5 years from now, don't let it matter today. Something along those lines. Give the shit up. All right? I love you guys. Thank you for supporting this podcast. The best way to support this podcast is to rate, review, subscribe, send it to a friend, and just share the love, baby. I love you all and goodbye.